Hello, this is Lye Yosh.
This is my second recording of the day, and I can feel that my voice is kind of getting wacky, and my enunciation has never been really good, but I feel like it's getting worse. But um, but it doesn't really matter because there's actually a study that for public speaking, enunciation isn't the most crucial aspect. But that's a story for a different time. Today is a celebration for us normies because today I brought to you a scientifically proven method for normal looking people to beat attractive and good looking people. And before we move on to the study, I have to let you guys know a cold truth that being attractive gets you like 10 steps ahead of everyone else. You're basically playing a video game on the easy mode, while everyone else is playing the hard mode as a norm. The difference physical attractiveness makes on life is so massive that it's not even funny. But it's also true that just being physically attractive isn't really good either. And I'm not trying to flip off any models because physical attractiveness in itself is such a massive strength, because it's the most obvious sign of genetic perfection. So, specifically speaking, physical attractiveness is the most easy to find indicator that their gene is not damaged. So, does looks determine everything? Does being attractive lead you straight to success? Of course not. We normies have to thank life because that's not necessarily the only criteria. There are people who are not physically attractive, but has an overall attractive aura in them. I can't really think of a good term for this, but for example, for guys, have you guys ever met a girl who isn't really beautiful, but you're somehow attracted to? Or for girls, there are certain men who isn't really handsome at all, but somehow you like this person. So even if these normal looking people learn the skills of confidence or the techniques for flirting or any of these temporarily enhanced tricks, because people judge each other in the span of less than a second, all these pickup tricks won't do you any good once you line up with a hot guy or a cute girl. And honestly, I can make fun of these pickup lines all day long, but this is not what I'm here for. My point is that while people judge each other within a span of very short time, the criteria that leads to the judgment is more complex than you might think. And if this is the case, there has to be a trait that isn't predetermined by our genes, but something, like the pickup tricks, we can learn and enhance it, and it works in the long-term process. And today, I have you the answer. There is this one thing, okay, maybe not one thing, but this is the one thing that has an equivalent effect when compared to physical looks. It's not confidence, it's not any of the flirting techniques, it's creativity.
In this channel, I'm going to be talking about these interesting scientific and psychological information by implementing data from scientific studies. So if you're interested and want to watch more of my past and my future content, then make sure to subscribe to my channel as that will support me a lot, and I thank you very much for doing that. Now, let's get started with today's video.
Today's study is performed at Abertay University, where they collected 89 participants in total, with a mean age of 23 years. The study looked up and found a total of 16 publicly available faces, 8 male and 8 female, with 4 attractive faces and 4 not so attractive faces for each sex. Another sample of people were collected and was given up to 5 minutes to write a short essay based on interpretation of this one painting. These short essays were given to a panel of judges who rated different traits for creativity. So like if it was original or clever or imaginative, and they rated these traits on the scale of 1, not at all, to 9, very. And throughout the experiment, these raters were informed that these essays were written by separate individuals looking at the same exact painting, and they all had 5 minutes to write up their interpretation. And then the researchers selected 4 pairs of photos that were considered attractive and normal looking, times 2 for each sex. So it's a total of 16 faces. And then they matched these photos with different essays that were categorized between creative and not so creative. And it kind of gets complicated, but just listen to me. So they matched 2 attractive faces with 2 creative essays, okay? And then they matched 2 less attractive faces with 2 creative essays. And then they matched 2 attractive faces with 2 less creative essays. And then 2 less attractive faces with 2 less creative essays. The original participants were asked to read the essays from each individual and then rate how attractive they judged these individuals to be. And here's the result. For men, creative but less attractive faces were equivalent in the overall attractiveness scale when compared with attractive but not so creative men. This sounds surprising, but it kind of makes sense if you think about it. Think of like artists or rappers, okay, this is my personal opinion, but most rappers are not the most handsome men in the world, but so many women are attracted to them. Okay, maybe they're just attracted to the money, but here's a more relatable example: the Beauty and the Beast. Ever seen those couples where the girl is pretty but not the guy, or vice versa? But even so, this is pretty interesting, isn't it? So the researchers concluded that being creative might balance the scale for men who are less attractive when compared with men who are attractive but not so creative. So for guys, being creative serves as a boost up on their overall attractiveness when they have to compete with guys who have good facial structure. So a good example of this would be being witty, because wit serves as one of the indicators for creativeness, and creative men tend to have their standards of attractiveness increased. There's actually a follow-up experiment where they studied creative responses, and a group of 31 volunteers performed a widely used measure of divergent thinking. So this basically meant that the participants were asked to come up with the original way to use everyday objects and concepts. So a good example of this would be like, I give you a water bottle and ask you to come up with 10 original and new ways to use it. This experiment, along with the experiment of the essays, further solidified the result that men who are creative have as much benefit in terms of overall attractiveness when compared with men who are just attractive in facial structure. However, and this is kind of a sad however, but this wasn't the case for women, because the results showed that high creativity for women who are physically attractive did not really add much into their overall attractiveness, and for less attractive women, high creativity actually backfired. See, this is why psychology is so interesting, because what men think women want from them, what men think it applies to women, is rarely the case. Anyways, I'll explain why the result happened the way it happened. So basically, the study suggested that this might be an evidence of a subtle denigration for women with low physical attractiveness but high creativity. This essentially means that, according to male preference, creativity, which in this case, intelligence of a woman, isn't really required as a trait of a potential mate. Because this is the opposite for men, as intelligence means capability in the modern era, it is highly warranted by women as a trait of a potential mate. Guys do all sorts of stuff to make them seem capable, smart, strong, whatever, but for women with physically attractive traits, creativity and intelligence is not seen as attractive, because men are already attracted to the women because she's physically attractive. And for women with low physical attractive traits, being intelligent means that it gets on guys' nerves. So stories like women who graduated from the Ivies isn't really attractive does make sense, if in a little disappointing way. At this point, my female audiences should be scratching their heads and asking two questions. Is there a way to benefit from our endeavor to become more intelligent/creative? My answer is, there is. I always encourage everyone to build and develop their mind with knowledge. By attaining knowledge, you will be able to perceive and understand the world better. And by this I mean, if you don't know the existence of brownies, by getting the information and attaining knowledge of brownies, you'll be able to attain the pleasure and happiness of eating brownies. Your second question should be, okay, we get that men want physically attractive women, but physical attractiveness is pretty vague and broad. What does that even mean? Is it facial structure? Is it body structure? I can put makeup on, but I don't want to perform plastic surgery. I can work out, but those kind of physical transformation takes time and effort, which I'm kind of low on. And to this question, I have an answer, which may sound surprising for some of y'all ladies, because it's not really about your physical figure or your personality. And I'll be talking about this next week. I'm sorry, ladies. I wanted to have a really short video for this one and didn't want to make it any longer, so please have mercy on me. And also, while your mercy is still on me, I kindly ask you to subscribe to my channel so you can listen to other videos of me summarizing these interesting scientific papers and articles about these underdeveloped findings and ideas that could be implemented in your life. My video that's going to be titled Traits of Women That Men Find Attractive is going to be uploaded sometime next week, I would say. At the latest, it'll be there in a week from today. It might be earlier, we'll see. In the meantime, if you like my content, I also talk about interesting topics like how imagining coffee might have the same effect as drinking one, or having ambitious and fantastic goals might not be what you think. If these titles interest you at all, I recommend you watch my other videos, and it'll be helpful if you can comment me on what kind of videos you want to watch in the future for reference. And make sure to subscribe to my channel so I can notify you whenever I post new videos in the future. And with that said, I'm gonna go to bed. You guys should take it easy too. Okay, bye!